Hi, this is Reg Athwal, and welcome to the Family Business Channel, where I've got a chance to interview a phenomenal person who's going to be very inspiring for all our viewers today for our show called Family Business Legacies, where we get a chance to interview someone ideally ahead of a family business who, or a second or even a third generation member, who tells us about how they go about building their legacy. So here is a beautiful holding slide of the guest that I'm going to be formally bringing on the screen very, very shortly. And what I'd like to do is give you a formal introduction to our guest. So Mr. Nand Kishore Chaudhary is a globally acclaimed social entrepreneur. This is very timely. This is becoming very, very important throughout the world right now. The concept of social enterprises. So he's a social entrepreneur. He's the founder of Jaipur Rugs, which is one of India's largest manufacturers of hand-knotted rugs, and is often referred to as Gandhi of the carpet industry. With just 2 looms and 9 artisans in 1978, his journey for 4 decades later stands as Jaipur Rugs becoming a global social enterprise, exporting now to over 60 countries while providing sustainable livelihood to 60,000 now, not even 40,000, probably a lot more artisans in 600 remote villages across 5 states in India, out of which 80% of them are female workers. Management guru C.K. Prahalan featured his revolutionary business philosophy in his globally acclaimed book, The Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid. And Mr. Chaudhary has also been termed as the father of modern social enterprises by Professor Jagdish Sheth from Emory University. I'll be honest with you, the list of credentials carries on and on, from awards from E&Y, CNBC, featured on Forbes for his social entrepreneurship. The list goes on. He's a very simple man, very humble, and today he's going to tell us all about his story. You've probably seen a glimpse of him already on the screen. He's waiting there patiently for us. So on that note, welcome to the show, Mr. NK. How are you and how is life in India?
Yes, everything is okay.
Wonderful.
And thank you.
Yeah, it's a real pleasure to have you on our Family Business Legacy show. You've got a phenomenal, inspirational story. And I believe it started in 1953 in Rajasthan. Is that correct?
No, I was born in 1953, yes. But I started my journey in 1978.
That's right. Yeah, I just wanted to check in terms of when, when you were starting the journey in terms of birth, but growing up from early sort of mid 50s. What's some of the stories or things that you can remember from childhood, your earliest memories?
Yes, as a early memories of my childhood, I was a very, very shy person, and I love nature. I love people. So I was spending so much time in the sand dunes of my Shekhawati area.
Yes.
And reading a lot of books about religion, ethics, and values.
Yes. And what were some of the teachings from parents? Because I know around 1973, you're 20 years of age. In my notes I've got here, your father started to pull you into the father shoe business. Yes, I think it was called Bharat Boot House. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us, what was that like? On your first exposure of working in a family business environment?
After I passing my graduation exam,
yes,
I started my career selling the shoes from a little shop which my father have started. And the Churu was a very small town and there was very little room to grow. Mm-hmm. And I don't like selling the shoes as a salesperson. But at that same time, I got a permanent service in a government nationalized bank. Mm-hmm. I rejected the offer as I wanted to do something of my own.
Yes. Why,
And
why did you want to do something of your own? Was the was the boot house, the shoe business not attracting you? Was it not, you didn't enjoy it?
yes, yes, because I don't want to work as a salesperson. And at that time, then I started introspecting myself and I started thinking, who am I? What is my passion?
Mm,
Which thing I love? So I thought I must only make my business the things which I love. So I found I was a people person, I love nature. And
that's
then I
beautiful.
realized,
I mean, most people, Mr. NK, they don't have that realization at a young age. Like, so you're in your early 20s. Where did this influence come from to start asking these questions of who am I? What is my purpose? What am I passionate about? Where did this influence come from?
I I remember that when I was studying in eighth, and maybe at that time I was near about 14 or 15, I was thinking about the who am I, what is the purpose of my life, and I was thinking that what I must do. And at that time, Churu was a very, very religious place. So all the top class holy religious people, including the Shankaracharya ji and all these big
Mhm.
name, they were coming to Jaipur for Chomasa. They spent four months in the rainy season in Churu. And I was always following them. I was listening their talks in the evening. And ultimately, after 5, 6 years, I realized that if I want to know myself,
Mm,
I will not go to a temple, I will not go to the Himalayas, I will not go to the ashram. I
mhm.
will start my own business and I will know who am I.
That's a very deep philosophy.
Yes,
One of the quotes that you have, business is next to love. What does that mean?
yes, yes, yes. I want to tell you a real story
Mhm.
which I remember just now, that when I was in the last year of my graduation exam,
Mhm.
graduation, I have a very strict professor of business administration. One day he came to my classroom and called out my roll number. And then he asked me to stand. And I became frightened because at that time he was a very strict professor and I thought that why he will punish me? Because I was a very disciplined student. I was not a mischievous boy.
Mhm.
So then he took out a test copy in his hand and showed to everybody in the class saying, see the answer this boy has written of the question. The question was, what is the definition of business? And what I replied was, business is next to love. It is the creator and preserver of civilization. And then the professors said to the whole class, this boy will become a unique businessman one day.
Wow, that's very special. So when you spoke to your father and said to him, "Hey, I don't want to be in the shoe family business. I want to go and do my own thing." What did he say to you?
No, my father was not very happy with that. He
Yeah.
told me that I don't think that you may be success because you know nothing about the carpet. So you are entering into a business where you know nothing about that.
Mm.
So how we are going to succeed? Then I make him agree that give me a chance. If I'm fail, I will close down within 2 years and I will come back.
That's good. And then you convinced him. I believe that you convinced him to lend you some money. You took a loan of 5,000 rupees, which in today's money for our global viewers is around $66, right?
Yes, yes.
uh, So you took the loan from your father for the 5,000 rupees, yeah? And then what did you do with the money? How did you start the business?
Yes. After getting the loan from my father, I bought two looms and one old cycle. By the old cycle, I traveled to the weaver houses and I installed both the looms at my own home and started working with the weavers. And there were nine weavers when I started.
And when you started, was there already a picture? Was there already a vision of what this business could become in the future, or no? Or was it was just simplicity with what you had in front of you? What was happening in your mind? Was there a big vision in your mind when you started or not?
Yes, because when I started, I don't have such a great vision, but since my childhood, I can see a little far away. So what I realized after I started this business, within 2 months, I realized that I love weaving. I love weavers. So I spend my whole day with the weavers, working with the weavers. So ultimately, I realized that I'm in love with the weaver and in the weaving. I want to tell you one thing, that at that time, those weavers belong to the untouchable class. So my family members, my neighbors, my relatives, everybody tried to stop me. And that time I realized that how we can judge a person by his caste. A person should be judged by the purity of his thought, purity of his karmas.
Right.
And that time I came to know that I can see clearly at that time the hypocrisy in the society. So my love to the weavers and weaving going more and more and more.
Beautiful. So as you started doing that, obviously the business started to grow. But at what stage do you think, what was the turning point for you? When did things change from going from a normal startup business, founding business, to becoming a social enterprise?
Yes. Before I was the partner with my brother up to 20 years. But then I started thinking that I'm getting vision that through the business, I can do so many things. Through the business, I can change my life. I can change the life of my people. I can change the life of my viewers. And then I started that I have to start alone. So I separated from my brother in 99 and I started Jaipur Rugs from zero, from the vision that I have to bring a big change in the whole industry. And I have to change the perception, the way people see the carpet industry.
So can I ask you then, with, if you want to share on this, but with your brother, as you know, with your experience of family businesses and all the work that we do around the world with our group company, with family businesses, there's many challenges and issues that come up with family members. And what I'm hearing, listening to you, what I'm hearing is that maybe your values or the vision was not aligned with your brother. He had a different view.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, because there is what I learned in my life, there is nothing good or bad in this world. The only thing is that everybody is unique. So I want to achieve my business in my own way. And I don't want the interference of somebody else from my family.
Yeah. But then if you look at future generations, let's say not with your wife and your 5 children today, who are all in the business, okay, in the
Yes.
family business. which is, we'll talk about, which is fantastic. But as they become married and you have grandchildren and the family becomes bigger, if anybody comes up to you in the future and says, grandfather, I don't want to be part of Jaipur Rugs or the group, then is that okay? This is okay?
Yes, 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 because from last 2 years, we have our family council, we have our family memorandum,
Yes,
and we are professionalizing the business.
yes,
And we have also made some non-negotiable
yes,
that we are not going to negotiate the purpose of Jaipur Rag, the values of Jaipur Rag, even with the family members also.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is with your charter, your constitution, your philosophy, you've got a foundation of values,
Yes,
principles,
yes,
which even if somebody goes into another business or does something else, you want to make sure that those values are kept and they're, like you said, they're non-negotiable. That you can, there's no compromise on these values.
yes,
So
perfectly.
let's talk about these values. I believe I understand there's 5 core values. Okay, but let's talk about what these mean for you and your family. So the
Yes,
first one is empathy. Yes, empathy. Why is this important? This value of empathy.
because as I told you before that when I started this business, I was in love with weavers and weaving. And generally, I found that the most of the business they are started on the basis of inferiority complex. So the founder and the family members, they want to fill the gap which is created by the inferiority complex. That is the fear. And when I started, I was driven by the compassion because I only heard this name 4-5 years ago when so many researchers came to me and doing the research on Jaipur.
Yeah. Then once all the consultants and the researchers show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what I learned in my whole life that the empathy is the biggest thing. If you don't have the empathy, then it is difficult for you to understand your customer needs, understand your employee, understand your viewers.
Yes.
So I think empathy is the biggest reason for Jaipur Rug. That all these artisans, we have a big family and very happy and very efficient family.
Yeah, and just to quote you, because I've also have done some research and I've got your values here. So just to add to what you're saying, from your corporate profile, we've got empathy. When I first started working with carpets, I became a weaver. I was rejected by my family and society and worked at the loom. The struggles of the weavers became mine. By embracing this, I could share their struggles and use my strengths to find ways to make it better as a companion. I was and will always be a weaver first and a businessman later.
Exactly.
So what you're saying now is that has now expanded into the philosophy for the rest of the family.
And I want to tell you a story that when my first daughter asked me that she want to go to America, and our family tradition don't allow to send a girl child alone.
Right. Yeah, I understand that.
And so then I asked I have an English friend who lives in England. So I asked him that should I send her to US or not? So he told me that USA is a totally different world.
Yes.
So when he will come back, he have a totally different perception. So when she was going to the US, she asked me, Papa, what is your expectation? I told her that I'm a weaver and I enjoy weaving. And weaving has become the biggest enjoyment in my life. So you must never forget when you go to the US. So you are a daughter of a weaver. So when you go to the US, always study and see about the woman in the US, how she is thinking, how she is decorating his home. So when you come back, you have a better understanding of the customer needs, because those women is our end consumer. So you can see all my three daughters took my advice and created such a wonderful.
Yeah, and also, credit to you, congratulations, because, looking at, reading up on obviously the past and your daughters getting involved, it's not just about Jaipur Rugs. You've gone into spin-off areas within your ecosystem, and you've allowed each family member, from what I can see, to flourish and find their joy and passion within the group. And some of them have started separate businesses within the group, yes?
Right.
Which is a great structure. I think that is really the way to go for the future. Here in 2020 and beyond, I don't think it's all about, based on the research we've done with hundreds of family businesses, where the new generation are looking for a hybrid model where they can be part of the legacy business, but they also got the freedom to try something new,
right,
within the boundaries of that family business, which is what you've done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's talk about some of the other values then. Next one is got shared wisdom.
Yes.
Tell us about your philosophy behind these two words, shared wisdom. Why is this important?
Because in my whole life, I worked with the front line. And in our business model, there are two front lines. One front line is our salespeople who are selling direct to the end consumer. And the second front line is our branch managers and quality supervisors. They are directly working with the weavers. So our salespeople is the voice of our customer, and our branch managers and quality supervisor, they are the voice of our weavers. So I always listen both the front line. And by the listening, we created such a socio-economic model. So in my whole life, I use their wisdom. The people working with me, I give them the freedom, I listen them, and I make that decision with them, not for them. And that make a big difference in my business.
Yeah, that's really powerful, because someone who's weaving or working on a rug, a carpet, my understanding with your philosophy is, they before you made these changes, they didn't know the role that they were playing when that rug is going to be in someone's home in 50, 60 countries around the world, and they don't know that contribution that they're going to be making to someone's family with that rug. Yes. So my understanding is that you then went on the ground from village to village and getting these communities of artisans together and showed them their contribution towards the bigger picture. That's my understanding. But also you started getting their feedback.
Yes.
Yeah. Because a lot of people in today's world, Mr. NK, as chairman, as MDs of family businesses, they spend so much time in the boardroom trying to make decisions, but they don't know the reality, the feel of what's on the ground.
I want to tell you one thing, because I became so excited how true what you are telling, that we are working from last 5 years with Bain & Company. Some of the very top class, best mind of the Bain & Company, they are helping us pro bono.
Yes.
Because they say that Jaipur Rugs is the only company on the planet which have got the thousands of real authentic stories.
Mm.
So they are helping us to make the best artisan proposition in the world.
Wow.
So they did a research which name is founder mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Founder mentality means the research says that out of 1 million founder driven company, only 2 company crosses 100 million revenues. And they say that generally founder they don't create their vision, mission.
Mm-hmm.
So they are core, and then they are unable to tell the second generation. So
Yeah.
the research says that if you are making the decision in your boardroom without the front line, you are creating the deathbed for your company.
Yeah.
And we are working on that. And we are very lucky that Ben and Company found us, and each and every of my family member knows about this.
That's beautiful. And that means reaching out to almost, well, more than 40,000 now, okay, weavers and artisans who you're getting feedback from, yes?
Yes, yes.
And flowing back up to the top, and then from there you're flowing back down again and making those right decisions of what type of products, how to improve, how to make things more efficient, and looking after their needs.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. So you, when you take 40,000 weavers and you take these professionals now that you've trained up and supported them in, I believe, 600 villages now, okay, in
Yes,
6
yes.
different states, and then you export out to almost 60 countries.
Yes.
What's been some of the challenges of growing over the last 5-10 years to build a global social enterprise with so many different people across a big country like India? What's been some of the challenges?
The biggest challenge is that after I have got 5 children, and all my children studied in America.
Mm-hmm.
And after they studied America, they came back to India and joined me. And after they joined, my business started growing like the wildfire.
Yeah.
There was a big increase in the revenues and profits. But then we have to take the professionals, educated people.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that most of the educated people, they put me upside down.
What do you
And
mean? What do you mean upside down?
yes, what I mean upside down is that I learned that knowledge is power, but knowledge gained without practice develops ego.
Mm.
And sometimes the practitioners have the skills without having the knowledge.
Yeah.
So then I started an initiative which we named Higher School of Unlearning. We ask all our professionals, experience or fresh, that we told them that you must learn about the processes, about the people, about the product of Jaipur Rug.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have the understanding of the business, you are going to make the wrong decisions, and that will damage the business. So the biggest challenge when the business started growing is that the professionals,
Mm-hmm.
they have very less understanding about the business processes, about the people, about the product. So now we are trying very hard to fill this gap.
Mm. So would you say it's about having the right balance where, you've got your internal knowledge, but you're also getting your outside perspective as well? But
Yes,
but when you're listening to professionals, you have to get the balance right because of what you know about your business and what you know about weaving and your passion, and which maybe some outsider will not they won't know this. So you have to
yes,
get the right balance. Yes.
yes. Because you see, from last 4-5 years, me and all my children realize that how we may be a most global competitor company, how
Mm-hmm.
may be the most profitable, most efficient company in the world. And then we realized that we need more critical capabilities, which nobody have in the family.
Yes.
So we are taking such professionals with those critical capabilities.
That's beautiful. So, and just so I don't forget, the other family values that we talked about. So we talked about empathy, shared wisdom. We've got humility, integrity, and simplicity. Is there any one of those you'd like to share? Any story of what, why this is so important to your family and your family business?
Because since I started 42 years before, everybody in my family, everybody in the business, everybody who knows me say that I'm the same person. And I've seen that simplicity is the biggest gift. We can define the simplicity as innocency. Because if a person is innocent, he can see the future, because it don't get mixed with the things which is not required in the life for the business. So I have got hundreds of stories in my life that how my simplicity paying me. I want to tell you one story that when I came to Jaipur back in 1990, and after 4 or 5 years, one day I went to see my viewers in a village, and there were 10 looms in a Sarpanch's home. So when I went there, I was talking with the viewers like a villager, and I sit on a stone, and viewers started talking with me, and then I found there were more than 100 people came from the village. So the Sarpanch asked them that, see, and I told them that why all these 100 people have came to see me. Then the Sarpanch told me that I asked them to come to see you. Such a big person is sitting on the stone like a villagers. So they are so amazed with you.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think, Stenke, I just need to share, looking at the simplicity one, I'm going to read out for our viewers your description from your profile, your company website and profile. It says, simplicity: when we become ourselves, we are simple. It is when this simplicity combines with the simplicity of another that comes together and creates a beautiful story. Very powerful. Now, one thing I want to give you credit on and acknowledge you is that you have taken the time to put these family values together. And for the viewers who are watching, who are family business owners or next gen members, entrepreneurs with young kids, in order to build a family business that's going to last for multiple generations, you have to have a bedrock, a foundation of good family values.
Right.
And this is exactly what Mr. NK is sharing with us right now. And I encourage you to go to our description area of the website. You will find his personal website details, Jaipur Rugs website details. Go and find out. There's also some links when he mentioned Bain & Co. We'll put a link to the video with some of the research that they did as well. And it goes without saying, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, but we're not even done yet. We've just warmed up with this interview. There's a lot more things that we're going to be discussing. So I have some sensitive questions to ask you. With 5 children being groomed, traveling to America, different culture, different ideas, then coming back to India, did you ever have any conflicting communication with them, with their ideas and your ideas? Did that ever happen?
Yes, I'll be very honest, because generally I see that I have seen very deeply in India that most of the family business have this problem. Because the problem with the family business is that the business, management, and emotions, 3 things come together.
So how do you manage that? How do you deal with that?
That is a great question. I only realized 5-6 years before, because then everybody in my family, they have the different views. Each children have the different views, and they have that, and all five have the different views from me. And I found that everybody is working so hard, everybody is so doing great work. And before, I never imagined that this problem will arise one day.
Mm,
And I have no knowledge about this problem.
mm,
Then I started reading about the family businesses, reading articles, and then I came to know this is the very common. But generally, people don't talk about that. They are very shy to talk about that, and especially in Rajasthan, nobody talks about that. Then I started talking about that, people like you who understand the family
mm.
business, and then slowly I got some idea, and then we took a family business advisor,
Yes.
Anil Senani,
Mhm.
who advised us for one year.
Yes.
And then everybody in our family, including me, we knew that the emotions, management, and business should be separate.
Mm,
And after that, things start changing. Now we have a formal platform to discuss all the ideas.
mm,
And also, the biggest thing, I think it is the biggest mistake in my whole life, because I never knew it before, that I never write down all my values, my core, my insurgent mission,
mhm.
and why I started business on the paper. So I was not able to tell my children. So then Ben and company also worked with us. They write down our core, they define our core, what is the core of Jaipur Rug.
Mhm.
And they advise all my children about the core and how the core is going to create a new future
Yeah.
in the world.
See, I'm glad that you opened your mind to this possibility with your children. Uh, Unfortunately, there's many family businesses, whether it's in Africa, Middle East, or South Asia, or anywhere in the world. But let's talk about India for a second. You know, the cultural aspects, where we hear a lot of stories from the next generation who are struggling to communicate with the seniors, with their parents or grandparents, because of ego. You know, the seniors have an ego, or like you say, why do we need this uh, advisor? Why do we need this consulting company? Why do we need external people coming? We know what we're doing. We're already successful. Why do we need to listen to these people? Why do we need an agreement? We've never had an agreement. We're family. Why should we, you know? So these things start to happen, don't they? So is there any wisdom or any tips you'd like to share to maybe a chairman right now who's watching this, or a senior member of a family business? What tips would you want to give them? What wisdom, knowledge do you want to give them?
But when I realized this problem in my family business, that all these emotions, management, and businesses came together, and it is a silent killer
Mm,
for the business. And then I have very deep introspection within me, and I started thinking that why this big problem have started in my business, in the family.
mm,
And I realized that it was my unconsciousness.
mhm.
I don't have the knowledge. And when the things problem getting bigger, I don't have the ability to see them. So I started working on my own consciousness.
Mm,
And after I started working my own consciousness, I realized that the ego is the biggest problem.
yes.
And especially in the Rajasthan and especially in our Marwari community, I always say that we have the biggest ego. And then I thought what ego means to me, because there is very less literature
Mm,
to know what real ego what real ego means.
So what is,
And
can I ask you, what is ego then? And what is the awareness that you ended up with as you started to ask these
yes,
questions?
yes. Then I realized that as a chairman of the company, I
Mm,
have a role of chairman company, and at the same time, I create my own identity.
mhm. Yes.
And when the role and identity come together, because role is a different thing, and each and every identity created by the man is false. Actually, identity is not required. And then I thought how I can lose my own identity. And thank God that I found such great people at that time. So I was started losing myself,
Can
and
we
we
go,
developed.
can we go back for 1 second? Because what you're saying is very important for the viewers. When you talk about identity, are you talking about stripping your identity? For example, your name, where you were born, how much you're worth, your significance, your title. All of this becomes somebody's identity, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, because then people started telling me, Mr. Chaudhary, your business model is socio-economic model, and such great management gurus had studied on your business model. You are a great person. And as you told that people say me, I'm the Gandhi of carpet industry. And very soon I found that all this belief is going to limit me.
Mm.
So how I can break my limit? How I can go beyond that? If I grow, if I want to grow myself, if I want to grow my children, if I want to grow this business, if I want to grow this industry, I have to break this false identity, which I'm working on.
So do you find, again, one of your core values is humility, okay?
Yes.
Because that's where this comes in, doesn't it? It's very easy with the ego where someone praises you, or you end up like you have with your brand and your personal story, where you're in the Forbes magazine, or someone writes about you in two of their books. Oh, they've achieved
So
this
much.
success, and the ego loves this. Yes. Oh, wow. I must be good, I must be so brilliant at what I do. But then life comes and slaps you on the face, doesn't it, once your ego.
Perfect. 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 Perfect.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
So this is like what you're saying, the humility. So by the way, can I ask you, how do you practice humility? What's the secret to having humility?
As I want to tell you one more thing, that the ego, as I say, it is a false image of ourselves, and ego is created by the fear.
Mhm.
The more fearful we are, the more ego we have. So what I found in my life, that if I am humble, if I ask anybody to support me, if I have some problem, I must ask my people to help me to solve that problem.
Mm.
And it changes the whole environment in the business. So I think humility is paying me since I started.
Yeah, I love that philosophy. So the bigger somebody's ego, the more fear.
Yes, it is totally right, because from last 3 months, I'm in a state that I found that 50-60% of things we do in our company,
Mm.
and 50-60% of the departments and the activities of the people, actually only it is out of the ego and out of the fear. So now I can see them very clearly, and I'm going to reduce them. And the efficiency of the company is going very well. And in one thing which I realized, that in last 1 year, I found the people.
Mhm.
I have a very clear-cut understanding, which I developed very recently, how to find the people without ego.
Mm.
So thank God that I have found more than 50 people. They are on the higher journey of the truth. They are searching the purpose in their life. And all these people, they are doing wonderful job.
Yeah, I agree. I think, again, we've done it, in our company and with clients, where once you know what your purpose is and you know what your values are, this now becomes the benchmark of anybody you meet in the future. Because now if everybody else is aligned to that purpose and aligned to your values, anything's possible. Yes, you've got alignment with the people around you.
Perfect, perfect. That is totally right. And I tell you one thing, that we have started some great initiatives,
Yes.
and those initiatives is going to convert into the global phenomena.
Mm.
If you see, there are so many research by Bain and other people, they can see very, very, very clearly that those people are creating a new future.
Mm. So one of the books I think you're quoted in talks about fortune at the bottom of the pyramid.
Yes.
So if we take the bottom of the pyramid, tell me if this is correct. You end up having a lean head office team, leadership management team, but essentially the business is built on 40, 50, 60,000 people out there who are, you're turning the bottom of the pyramid into their own entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. I want to tell you that when in 2008, I was sitting in my office and I got a phone call. The man says, I'm C.K. Palad. And C.K. Palad was the #1 management guru at that time. And I thought that, why such big man is calling me? And I thought he has dialed the wrong number. But then he told me, are you Mr. Chaudhary? I became very aware, and I thought that how he knows my name. And then he told me, Mr. Chaudhary, I want to case study on your business model. And I told him that, CK, whatever we do is very simple. If you ask my neighbor that does not know me, do you think any simple thing people will read? And it will make a case study,
Yeah.
global case study.
His book would have been only 5 pages.
So then, so now the answer of your question, then the CK Platt told me that your global supply chain is very unique by connecting the poorest of the poorest with the richest of the richest, by enhancing the capability at the grassroots.
Yeah.
So I think our main focus is that how the creative capability of our viewers, how we develop their creative capabilities, how we change their mindset, and how to develop their leadership qualities.
Beautiful. So I've got a couple of other things I want to ask you. Is behind every obviously successful man or someone whose face is everywhere as the brand, there is bound to be someone behind them who is the foundation, and that's your wife.
Yes.
So could you share the story for our viewers on, I was doing the research on this, on 2 plates and the purpose.
Yes.
What is 2 plates and the purpose for our viewers?
Yes, that after when I started my first export with my brother, at that time I found that the demand of Indian carpet is so big that we need more viewers. And then the Gujarat government was trying to develop a very big tribal area for the employment. So I went to that area, and I want to tell you that at that time, 20% of the tribal people, they don't wear the clothes. So I went to that area and I found a room to live. I rented a room and I started living with my wife. And once 2 people came to see me, one sarpanch from the nearby village, and my wife is always very good offering the food and tea that people come.
Yes.
So she offered them the lunch to them. And then I went to my wife that give me one plate. I also want to take the food with them. So then my wife told me that there are only 2 plates. So after they eat, then I will serve you the food.
Yes, got it. Wow. Well,
So,
yeah, and that's a good reminder. And again, we'll make sure the details are in the description here because there's a nice little video with you and your wife where you talk about the 2 plates and the purpose. And I think this is a good reminder again of your value of humility and where you started from.
yes.
So can I ask you, Mr. NK, when it comes to the future and you think about your future generation, 3rd generation, 4th generation, have you thought about what you will do as the steps that you will take to make sure they're part of this legacy? And what have you made a decision of some of the things that you're going to be doing with the 3rd generation to get it right?
Yes. First, I want to thank you, the Bain Partners. They are trying to help us to achieve this vision. So as I told you that they define the core statement of our company, who we are, why we exist. And they also defined our values, vision, mission. And and as we also defined the non-negotiable.
Yes, yeah. So that's
So for
clear.
the next, so not only the next generations of our family, but also the professionals which we are going to hire in the future, and the leaders which is in the pipeline to whom we are developing for the future. Nobody is going to negotiate with those values. And we are also writing a book, and also we are writing so many things, so I can transfer my legacy.
Absolutely.
To my next generation, and next generation can transfer that legacy.
Well, it's like when we spoke, it's like when we spoke recently about, this interview, and we talked about potentially doing other episodes in the future, because like you said, you've got potentially 40,000 stories to share, from all the weavers. So
right.
Having done over 100 of these, probably almost 200 now, and interviewed many great people like yourself, for me, this becomes a digital asset. Right. So long after you and I are not here in the world, there should be a future generation that can watch this video.
Yes. And I also want to tell you that we have structured a storytelling department, and I have taken very innocent, very great people for that department, and we are training them. And I found that there is no communication without the story.
Could you tell us why this is important? Because, our team, my team, have been in touch with your team, and you've actually got someone in your team that is, the head of storytelling. So why is that role important within a family business? And why do so many family businesses would never think of having this person in their company?
Yes, you are totally right. That only the stories, if you see the Ramayana, Mahabharata, thousands of years, everybody read the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and they try to follow that because it is only due to the stories. So as I told you that most of the business leaders, most of the founders, they don't understand the value about the stories, because only the story which keeps the legacy for thousands of years. And not only because now we are working on the stories, and so I can tell more about the stories, that we are working also on the golden thread stories. Golden thread stories that founder is a hero, And the people who made him succeed in the early, they are the early heroes.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
the stories of the founder, the stories of the early heroes should be documented. Those are the golden thread stories. And by telling the golden thread stories, we can create the new future heroes. Anybody who comes as a young professionals, by telling the story, you are creating the future heroes. So my job is to tell those future heroes that me and my family members and my early heroes, they have created this history. But now you have got the different capabilities. So you have to write the new chapters into my book.
That's right. And I think once that book is done, because I've worked with clients where they've done exactly that, you know, by going through the process of the family charter, family constitution, extracting the stories from the seniors, you end up with enough content for a book. And once the book's done and video content is created, then I think with your story, Mr. NK, for Jaipur Rugs, it's only a matter of time where I'm sure there'll be some documentary on Netflix or Amazon. You know, it's only a matter of time with what you're doing. I wanted to ask you another question, which is something very unique. You decided in your company to change the name of the HR department.
Yes.
You know, I love this story, and I've got it here: the search for the divine soul.
Yes.
How did you come up with? Why did you decide to change the name of the HR department to the search for the divine soul?
A great question. It is very near to my heart. That after I started Jaipur Rug, I was always struggling to finding the right people. And after my son and daughter joined the business,
Yes.
and they told me that, Papa, you are hiring the wrong people. Include us. Then I included them. And the mistake became bigger.
Yeah.
So one day I was sitting in my office, and a intuition came to me, and I found that from today, I asked all my HR department people, from today, change the name of our HR department. New name is Search for Divine Soul. And we discussed more than 1 hour that what are the criteria of divine soul. And ultimately we realized that the people who is on his journey finding the purpose in their life, who has got the passion for something, the people who want to change themselves, they want to develop themselves, we must find those people, and those are the quality of those people. And because I only started the Jaipur Rug to bring the change, not to earn the money, not to have a big profit or a big turnover, because only to find myself, to know myself. So I told them that now I want to find the people like me who may be the court travelers.
Yeah, that's clear. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love the idea of this different name for HR and getting to the core. You're going very deep. You know, when you talk about soul, you're going very deep with what you're trying to achieve here. This is not things that are just on the surface. Let's talk about money for a second, because you just brought up the topic money. You know, obviously you've grown this business. It's now a significant, I would say, 9-figure dollar business, all right, or more. We won't get into numbers, but you know, the bigger you become, the more wealth is being created. So when it comes to being a social, global social enterprise for profit, what does that mean? What does that mean as the philosophy, when it comes to a philosophy of money and wealth? How does that work for your family?
I think I have a very clear-cut understanding about the wealth. Since I started, I have this understanding that the wealth lies within us.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest wealth lies within us. So that more through doing the business, the more clarity we get about the purpose of our life, the more we get at the higher level of our consciousness.
Mm.
I think that is the biggest wealth. And through that purpose of life and through the higher level of consciousness, we create the consciousness throughout in our business, with our customer, with our staff, with our society. And that enlighten them, that bring a big change into their life.
So what
So I think
happens? So what
the
happens
biggest,
in the future? Let's say I'm just giving you an example. I'm not saying this is to do with your family. I'm just giving you an example. What happens if a rebel child comes along in the third generation, where wealth is already there? Okay, they're growing up in an environment where they've got the best of the best, because they don't know what it was like when you had nothing in your pocket and you had to start from nothing. They already have the best things. And that person then goes down that path, whether it's, you know, material possessions or traveling to the best places in the world or having the best material things in the world. What is your thoughts on that? Is that okay? Does that still fit with humility or not?
no. Nobody can negotiate. Maybe third generation and fourth generation. And now I have started working on a very different thing from last 6 months.
Mhm.
That we are moving to the teal organization. I think you have heard about the
Yes.
self management.
Yes.
So the wealth created by our people, we are going to create a different model.
Yeah.
How we share the wealth.
Yeah, because that wealth will eventually go down to your people. Yes.
Yes,
It's not just about the family. Like I was with someone in Dubai not long ago, and he said, Reg, none of my family want to join the business, but I've been working with people who've been by my side for 25, 30 years. And now I'm thinking I want to give those people equity in the business. I want them to become the future owners.
right.
Yeah. So family is not just bloodline. Family can also mean the people who've helped you grow this and have been part of this as a social enterprise.
Right. Yes. Right.
Very powerful. So another thing I had for you was one of the articles that you had, you mentioned that family and business, you said, is my life. You see no differences.
Yes.
What does that mean? Where there's no difference between the family or the business? Like some people try to split it up or make sure it's separate.
Yes. Yes. Because when I go to so many platforms, people ask me that, Mr. Chaudhary, how you manage your private life and your professional life? I always say them that this business is my private life.
Okay.
If you want to understand about my private life, this is my open private life. Jaipur Rugs is my private life. And I tell them that how we may be two personalities, how may be something else at the home, how may be something else in the office. We are the same person. And why I must differentiate between my blood family members and with the staff and with my viewers.
Right.
And I think this is the biggest enjoyment which I got in my life.
Yeah. I like that. It's a good philosophy. So visualize this, Mr. NK. Let's go to the future. It's December the 31st, 2030. 10 years and 4 or 5 months in the future. And we're meeting together and I'm congratulating you. Give you a big hug, say, well done. Do you remember from the interview that we did 10 and a half years ago? Well done. Look what's happened since. What are we celebrating on December 31st, 2030? If we look
Yes.
back, what's happened over the 10 years?
Yes. And after 10 years, you will see that we are one of a great company. We celebrate co-creation. Co-creation means end consumer, interior designer, architect, and our viewers. their creativity come together, and they are co-creating. They are totally creating the product which nobody thought. There will be so many innovation. So this is the first thing. The second thing is already we have a community of the viewers, and we are nurturing that community by the self-management. We are teaching them how to make their own decisions. We are teaching them the self-awareness. We are teaching them peer-to-peer learning. So we already have a community of our viewers at the grassroots. And after 10 years, we have a very big community, a global community. He believes in the same philosophy. And both the community, the viewer community and the global community will get together.
Wow.
And that create a very happy, big community or a family.
Well, I'm looking forward to it because now I've got digital evidence of our conversation.
Okay, yes. Trust me.
Yeah, I mean, I could speak to you for hours, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to do more episodes in the future and talk deeper about the soul, spirituality, consciousness, subconsciousness, the super brain, many things I want to discuss with you. But if we could finish on one last thing that I know is important to you, this concept of totality.
Yes.
What does that mean for you?
Yes, because what I found in last, as I told you that I was working with so many family business problems, my own problems, business problems. And I found that why these problems are created. This problem only created through the mind. And the new research which I read and found says that the mind is a device of bias. If mind can't live without the bias. So all these biases is created by the mind. So mind in last 50,000 years, the mind is driven by the fear. So if we see anything by the mind, we only see one corner, one end, and we can't see the other end. As I want to tell you by the example that if we see the valley, everybody will take about the valley. They say this is so deep and so deep. And if we talk about the mountain, they will talk about the mountain. So the totality means to see the valley and the mountain together means totality.
Right.
That when we are driven by the greed, when we are driven by the ego, we can't show the opposite side.
Yeah.
So totality means to see the opposite side so we don't make the mistake on our first step.
Beautiful. And I know you've got a lot more information on your personal website, and I'm just going to read a few things regarding totality for our viewers. It says, in the villages of rural India, the rug completes the home. It empowers the disadvantaged person, gender, and community. It provides sustainable income and a creative outlet. In the city, it brings to the home the warmth of nature and emotions and blessing of artisans, and it connects the two hands together, making Jaipur Rugs a healing organization. Before the rug, there is nature, and as the rug fades away, it is once more a part of nature. In its journey from birth to death, it continues to be total as it heals each hand it passes through without bias. Businesses will become whole through what they are missing: love, compassion, and healing. Beautiful words. And I hope people get a chance to read more about that on your website. I really want to thank you for your time today. It's been delightful. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. And I'm hoping we get a chance to do this again in the near future. So God bless you. God bless your company, what you've done for thousands of people, and the products that you're creating for people, and the difference that you're making around the world, and for building a global brand as a truly global social enterprise legacy. And on that note, thank you very much, and look forward to connecting again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stenke.